I would rather die on the highways of Alabama than make a butchery of my conscience. Yes, right.
Question. If you were around during the civil rights movement, would you have supported Martin Luther King Jr., our most celebrated leader of the time? The answer probably seems obvious, but there's a really good chance that you wouldn't have approved of him. And that's because our commonly held ideas about Dr. King are watered down, overly romanticized, and often flat out wrong.
I have a dream. One day.
We often think that most good people love Martin Luther King when he was alive, and sadly, that wasn't the case. Right? Many, many people certainly admired him, but the vast majority of Americans were not. One of the things that we've also missed is the ways that Dr. King is talking about police brutality when he's alive.
Something must be done to end this kind of unnecessary abuse of police power and what we see as outright police brutality.
We've often heard critics of Black Lives Matter say if Dr. King were alive today, he'd be ashamed.
But all lives matter. It's not that any life matters more than another. That's the whole message I think that Dr. King tried to present.
Mike Huckabee instructs the protesters in Ferguson to be more like Martin Luther King. I thought to myself, be careful what you wish for. Because in many ways, the Ferguson protesters were a lot like Martin Luther King. Dr. King very much understood the importance and need for sort of the disrupting of unjust conditions. He was arrested 30 times over the course of his life.
We're the home of Dr. Martin Luther King. And the only thing that I ask is that they not take the freeways. Dr. King would never take a freeway. Dr. King would never take a freeway.
It was just astonishing. The Selma to Montgomery March, that's on a highway. Certainly Dr. King saw segregation in the South as a problem, but he also saw segregation in the North as a problem.
The many problems that exist here and in all of our urban and rural communities for that matter.
In the letter from Birmingham jail in 1963, he's talking about the greatest threat may not be the Klan, but the white moderate who prefers order to justice.
Glaring example.
The fear and resistance to Dr. King ran deep, well into the offices of elected leaders and the FBI.
They're bugging and wiretapping his home, his office, his hotel rooms. They see him as potentially dangerous, potentially a communist or a communist sympathizer.
What is your reaction to the charges made by J. Edgar Hoover? He called you the most notorious liar in the country, and this is a direct quote.
Yes, this is what I understand.
So if in fact Dr. King was angry, criticized white moderates and liberals, advocated for criminal justice reform, and believed in civil disobedience, why is it that we have this overly warm and fuzzy idea of him? And what purpose does that narrative serve?
Honoring Dr. King and the Civil Rights Movement is used to make us feel good about ourselves as a country. We had a problem, they shone a light on this injustice, and we corrected it. Even when President Trump goes to meet the Pope, takes him first edition writings of Dr. King.
So I wonder, how will history remember people like Colin Kaepernick and the activists of Black Lives Matter?
I couldn't see another hashtag Sandra Bland, hashtag Tamir Rice.
I think we will see a Colin Kaepernick Boulevard, similar with Black Lives Matter. I mean, Black Lives Matter has fundamentally changed the national conversation we're having. So there's no question to me, in 20 years, we're going to look back on this as necessary, as essential, as important, as right.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that brief history, here's another one about workplace sexual harassment trainings and how they've evolved over time.